All things midterms. Tom Bonier, political analyst and CEO of TargetSmart, and Maria Teresa Kumar, president and CEO of Voto Latino and MSNBC political analyst. Thank you, friends, for being here. So let's just get into this real quick. Let's talk Georgia for just a second. I went through these polls, Tom, and, you know, I feel like the polls don't necessarily tell you. I don't think they tell you what's going to happen as an old campaign person, but they do tell you kind of what people are kind of paying attention to. And I did ask Stacey Abrams whether it's an inflation election or an abortion election, but you kind of have a thought on that you think abortion, you has agreed with me that abortion is such a huge issue.
So, you know, the polls are asking people what they think most important issue. I think that's interesting. We're looking at the actions people are taking in the end, and that's the most compelling thing. For a while, it was registering to vote, and we were seeing this huge gender gap among voters registering in Georgia, really around the country. Now it's voting. Over 1 million votes have already been cast in this election. People are voting in Georgia. As Stacey Abrams said, we look at those ballot requests. Huge gender gap. 60% of the people requesting ballots are women. It's a bigger gender gap than they've had in previous elections, including in 2020 when Democrats obviously did well statewide. So those actions are suggesting that, yes, this issue is still very much motivating.
And is that true across the country, or is it true in some states more than others, red states more than blue or blue more than red?
You're seeing slightly varying impacts, frankly, where the issue is more present, including in some very red states. We've all talked about Kansas and that constitutional amendment where you had 40-point gender gap in voter registration. Women turned out at record-breaking rates. But it's also happening in places like Idaho. In these key races, it's happening in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and out west. Places like Nevada and Arizona.
And it hasn't diminished from the summer, because that's what been some of the...
No, the funny thing is it had a huge surge immediately after Dobbs. It came back a little bit, but still well above where it was before, still a big gender gap. And then after Lindsey Graham said what he said and filed this bill nationally for a national ban, the numbers started going up again.
Back going up again. And so, Maria Teresa Kumar, there is this sort of sectioning off of the Latino vote as the vote that, and people say this a lot, but this year they're saying, this is the vote that's going to go for the Republicans this year, and sort of carving abortion out of that conversation and saying that Latino voters are just economic voters, they're inflation voters, they're going for Republicans. Are you seeing that on the ground?
No. I mean, we were able to see a rise and an uptick in voter registration in Texas and Arizona after the leak of the Dobbs decision. It wasn't even the Dobbs decision. And this is where we have an opportunity to make sure that we're talking to the Latino community about things that they care about. We have an ad that shows a 14% lift for voting for Democrats among independent voters in Arizona and Nevada, and it's the leading ad among men. And the ad is abortion. It's an issue that is something that is private. When people say that you're going to see a surge of a Latino vote, it's which Latinos are going to vote. Oftentimes we hear this idea that the Latino vote is not a monolith. That's absolutely true. But Joy, it's among generations. I will share with you, in 2020, we had a 34% of all voters were first-time voters in the Latino community. To give you an idea what happened in Nevada, because that's who we're talking about. In Nevada, in 2014, we saw a decline of participation by Latinos from 61% in 2012 to 11% in 2014 by young Latino voters. And then we saw an uptick when Rosen was on the ballot and there was an investment in young Latinos. We saw that uptick go to 39%.
So let me ask you then in Nevada, because you did mention Nevada, and this is going to, and I'm going to throw both to you, but I want to start with you, MTK, on this. There is this narrative that Cortez Masto, so she is a woman, she is Latina, right? She's one of the very few, right?
The only
in national politics, and the only woman. So she's a woman. So it feels like, and this is a state with a very solid Democratic Party. Harry Reid built a machine. It's a great Democratic Party.
And they listen right now.
Why is the narrative that Laxalt is on his way to taking that seat?
Because I can share with you from an organization that is the largest voter registration organization in the Latino community, where we registered 650,000 people, 58% of them were first-time voters. There is a lack of interest of investment in young Latinos, because what they're doing is reading the headlines. And you know who's investing on the conservative side on the Latino voters? The Republicans are. So if we know, as of 3 weeks ago, 51% of Latino voters have not received any contact from a political party, I also know that that's disproportionately young because they don't have a history of voting. And you used to work in campaigns. What people usually do is they go out and they target individuals that have a record of voting at least 5 times. Well, the people that we talk to are 18 to 29 years old. At best, they have a voting record of two times. And so no one talks to them. And then they are doing a self-fulfilling prophecy. Just get this, just in Arizona alone, we're expecting 80,000 new young voters since 2 years ago. Biden won that state by 12,000 votes. There's this lack of consistent investment and constantly talking to the community in a way that is authentic. And do you think they care about abortion? You better believe it.
Yeah.
Because when they talk about inflation, they also know that abortion is an economic issue. 68% of Latinos in key battleground states in Georgia, Arizona, and in Nevada, on polls that we've done, they believe in abortion care, regardless of gender.
Yeah.
When you look at just women, that skyrockets to close to 80%.
And speaking of it, let's talk a little bit about Ohio and Pennsylvania. So in Ohio, you talk about lack of investment. The Democratic Party is always afraid to spend in Ohio, right? Because it's seen as a red state, but it has a Democratic senator. And I always say any state that's got a statewide elected Democrat, North Carolina, Sherry Beasley used to be the Supreme Court, the leader of the Supreme Court. You've got, Louisiana's got a Democratic governor. So I've never understood this calculus, but there is this sense of the Democrats maybe being reluctant in Ohio. And in Pennsylvania, you then have people sort of trying to, question the sort of healthiness of the Democratic candidate. But he's ahead, and they're still nervous. I don't understand it. Pennsylvania, Ohio, how do you look at those states?
As you said, the polls in both those states actually look close. I mean, Democrats, Fetterman is up.
Yeah.
That race has been getting a little bit closer.
Sure.
I think Republicans are seeing those polls trying to change the narrative. Both of those seats are winnable for Democrats. When you look at the numbers I was talking about, the engagement, you're seeing this spike. Actually, those are two of the states that had biggest gender gaps after Dobbs. There's the potential for younger voters, especially in those states, to participate. Prior to Dobbs, younger voters were not engaged in this election. They weren't engaged at all. They were giving President Biden low approval ratings.
Yeah.
They weren't very connected. Totally changed after Dobbs.
You know how you get younger voters engaged? Threaten them with ownership by the state. And young women understand that. My kids understand it. People understand it. Anyway, Tom Bonier, Maria Teresa Kumar, we're going to have you guys back. Thank you very much. And up next on the ReidOut, a stunning and just verdict.